Imagine this, a man in a Santa Claus costume, walking through the streets of New York City. Except instead of holiday cheer, he's carrying a bag filled with poisoned candy. A plan designed not to spread joy, but to kill. And the intended victims? Children. Jewish children. This is not a movie script. This is not a dark urban legend. This was a real plot, hatched, encouraged, and spread by a 22-year-old extremist who saw himself as a commander in a self-made war. And today, he has officially pleaded guilty. In this video, we're diving deep into the shocking case that has rattled not just New York, but the world. The arrest and guilty plea of Michail Chkhikvishvili, known online as Commander Butcher, the leader of an international neo-Nazi group whose violent fantasies very nearly became real-world massacres. Stay with me, because the details of this story are far more disturbing, far more twisted, and far more unbelievable than the headlines alone suggest. Federal prosecutors in New York revealed that Chkhikvishvili wasn't just another extremist spewing hatred on the internet. He was actively trying to recruit people to commit violence. Real violence against Jews and racial minorities. And one of his most horrifying schemes involved an idea that sounds like something pulled directly from a nightmare: dressing up as Santa Claus and handing out poison candy to unsuspecting children. He imagined walking through neighborhoods, smiling, waving, looking like a harmless holiday figure, but leaving death in his wake. But that wasn't all. According to prosecutors, this plan evolved. It grew. It became even darker. Chkhikvishvili eventually shifted from random street attacks to something far more targeted: poisoning Jewish school children in Brooklyn. It's the kind of plot that shakes you to your core because it reveals not just hatred, but intent, planning, calculation, a step-by-step effort to turn ideology into mass murder. Who is this man? Why did he believe he could orchestrate something like this? And how did he rise to the level of being considered a serious threat by the FBI? Born in the Republic of Georgia, only 22 years old, Michail Chkhikvishvili styled himself as the leader of a group he called the Maniac Murder Cult. That name alone signals danger, but the ideology behind it is even worse. This was an extremist network that spread white supremacist propaganda, promoted a race war narrative, and circulated detailed instructions for building explosives and even making ricin, a lethal toxin classified as a biological weapon. Their manifesto, chillingly titled The Hater's Handbook, encouraged followers to carry out acts of violence worldwide and to treat murder as a pathway to political transformation. On Telegram, their preferred platform, Chkhikvishvili wasn't just a voice, he was a leader, a recruiter, someone who guided others, celebrated brutal acts, and encouraged more. Prosecutors say the group's content has already inspired actual killings, including a school shooting in Nashville earlier this year that left a 16-year-old dead. In other words, this was not an online fantasy world. The violence they promoted spilled into real life. Chkhikvishvili traveled multiple times to Brooklyn since 2022. He didn't hide in the shadows. He bragged openly about assaulting an elderly Jewish man. He wanted people to see him as a commander, a soldier in a warped ideological war that existed mostly in his own mind. And when the FBI finally got close, approaching him undercover in 2023, he didn't hesitate. He recruited the agent immediately, sharing attack ideas, spreading instructions, and expanding his plots. He wanted chaos. He wanted casualties. He wanted to be remembered. During recorded conversations, he talked about wanting to carry out a mass casualty attack in the United States. He thought America was the perfect place for violence because, as he put it, firearms were easy to obtain. He even suggested targeting homeless people because he claimed the government wouldn't care even if they die. Cold, calculated, dehumanizing. It shows a mindset that doesn't just hate, it's willing to destroy. So, how did he get caught? U.S. authorities had been monitoring extremist groups using Telegram for years, but Chkhikvishvili's rising influence caught their attention. His travels to Brooklyn, his connection to real attacks, and his repeated attempts to recruit operatives made him a top priority. In July 2024, he was arrested in Moldova, a country often used as a transit point for people trying to avoid extradition treaties. But it didn't work. After months of legal proceedings, he was extradited to the United States in May and brought to New York to face federal charges. Now, after pleading guilty in federal court in Brooklyn, prosecutors say they will seek a sentence of up to 18 years. 18 years for a plot that, had it succeeded, could have killed countless people, including children. 18 years for attempting to fuel racial violence, inspire terror, and turn extremist ideology into mass murder. Some people will look at that number and argue it's not enough. Others will say the justice system has to follow sentencing guidelines. But regardless of what you think of the punishment, one thing is clear. This case sends a message. The U.S. will not ignore extremist plots. It will not allow hate groups to flourish unchecked. And it absolutely will not let someone walk around New York City in a Santa Claus costume handing out poison candy to kids. If this story sounds surreal, it's because it truly is. It's easy to assume that plots like this only exist in movies, but the reality is that extremist ideologies, especially ones that spread in the shadows of the internet, can reach real people, inspire real violence, and come frighteningly close to being carried out. It's a reminder that online radicalization isn't harmless. It's a breeding ground for rage, for hate, and for individuals who are willing to turn their fantasies into something deadly. As of now, Chkhikvishvili is awaiting sentencing. The courtroom was reportedly tense as he admitted the charges, soliciting hate crimes, distributing bond-making information, and attempting to carry out violent attacks targeting Jews and racial minorities. His guilty plea closes one chapter, but the story isn't over. Investigators are still looking into the maniac murder cult, trying to identify followers, potential accomplices, and people who may have been radicalized by his messages. This case also raises bigger questions about how extremist groups form, how they spread, and how vulnerable young people, like Chkhikvishvili, only 22, can fall into ideologies built on hate. It's a conversation law enforcement, families, and policymakers are all grappling with. Because as technology evolves, so do the threats. But today, at least, one dangerous individual is off the streets. A plot that could have devastated families, communities, and an entire city has been stopped. And what remains is the reminder that vigilance, both from authorities and from regular people, is more important than ever. If you want more deep dive breakdowns of shocking news stories like this one, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support helps us bring you more important stories told with clarity, context, and honesty. Stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next video.